Welcome to another video. I want to get into this video in First Kings, and I want you guys to check this out. This is First Kings chapter 12, and this video is going to be about the foolishness of youth. You know, allowing young people to take charge and to lead, the foolishness that's accompanied with that. And in here, Solomon has already passed away. He's already died, and his son Rehoboam is about to become king. And Jeroboam has already been told that he is going to be the king over 10 tribes. All right. And so the story picks up. Okay, so we're gonna start in verse 1 because I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to take anything out of context here. Okay, chapter 12 verse 1, it says, and Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were to come to Shechem to make him king. And when Jeroboam, or I'm reading out of the Geneva Bible 1560, so it reads a little different. So some of the words, some of the names might be slightly different. Where it says Jeroboam, in here it has an I instead of a J, but I know it's a J for Jeroboam. But you may hear me, say things a little bit different because it's written a little different here. All right, verse 2. And when Jeroboam, ye son of Nebat, heard of it, who was yet in Egypt, whither Jeroboam had fled from King Solomon and dwelt in Egypt, then they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous servitude of thy father, and his sore yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve thee. And he said unto them, depart ye for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed, and King Rehoboam took counsel with the old men that had stand before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and said, what counsel give ye, that I may make an answer to this people? And they spake unto him, saying, if thou be a servant unto this people this day, and serve them, and answer them, and speak kind words to them, then they will be servants for forever. But he forsook the counsel that the old men had given him, and asked counsel of the young men that had been brought up with him, and waited on him. And he said unto them, what counsel give ye, that we may answer this people, which have spoken to me, saying, make the yoke which thy father did put upon us lighter? Then the young men that were brought up with him spake unto him, saying, thus shalt thou say unto this people that have spoken unto thee, and said, thy father hath made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us. Even thus shalt thou say unto them, my least part, my little finger, shall be bigger than my father's loins, his waist. Now, whereas my father did burden you with a grievous yoke, I will yet make your yoke heavier. My father hath chastised you with rods, but I will correct you with scourges. Then Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the 3rd day, as the king had appointed, saying, come to me again the 3rd day. And the king answered the people sharply, and left the old men's counsel that they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, my father made your yoke grievous, and I will make your yoke more grievous. My father hath chastised you with rods, but I will correct you with scourges. And the king hearkened not unto the people, for it was the ordinance of Yahweh, that he might perform his saying, which the Lord had spoken to Ahiah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat. All right, so let's put this away. So you heard that, right? And this is where I want to go with this. You see nowadays that you have all these young rappers and stars and singers, and as long as they're talking reckless and they're being being reckless. They have an audience. They'll quickly put a microphone on their face. They want to put them on every podcast. They want to see what they think. Everyone wants to interview them because they're speaking foolishness. Now, take those same people, give them time to mature, to become older. Nobody wants to talk to them once they have wisdom. Look at Master P. Master P started out as a rapper, and as long as he was talking foolish, he was making big money, right? But then he left the limelight, he matured, learned about business, and he come back to teach people about business. But now hardly no one wants to even listen to him. People are quick to say, oh, he's great, he's this, he's that. But no one really wants to listen because he's not talking foolishness anymore. He don't have all of these different people wanting to know what he thinks, because he's speaking good things to his people. He's speaking things about business and investing and all that kind of stuff, and people want to hear about it, but no one wants to interview him. No one wants to put it out there to teach the people righteousness. Not righteousness, to teach people good things, okay? It's not righteous. You have somebody like Waka Flocka. Waka Flocka was one of these other little wild guys. As he matured, he learned about investing. He turned back around and he started teaching people how to invest. No one puts a microphone on his face anymore because all he talks about is good things, investing your money and doing right with your money. So as people mature, no one wants to hear from them anymore. But as long as you're young and you're talking crazy and reckless and wild, everyone wants to put you up on a pedestal. Listen to all the rappers right now. Listen to all the singers right now. Everyone is talking about foolishness. Singers are singing about just sleeping with any and everybody, and rappers are rapping about doing everything, killing people, selling drugs, sleeping around. They're talking about everything foolish, and yet everyone wants to put a microphone in their face so that they teach the next generation more foolishness. You see right there where they were old men who had been with his father, Solomon, and learned wisdom from Solomon. These men were packed full of wisdom from Yahweh, from the throne of Yah, right? But yet, to the next generation, it was foolishness. Part of it was Yahweh's doing, right? Because he was going to take away the kingdom because of what Solomon did. And I'll go into that in a minute, in chapter 11, 12, something like that. No, 10, 11, something like that. Anyway, I'll read about that in just a second. But the thing is, after he messed up, right, Yah was going to pull the kingdom away from him anyway. But he had wisdom still from the elders and the people that surrounded his father. Now, if Rehoboam was smart, okay, he would have surrounded himself with his father's, everyone who was around his father. He would have surrounded himself with them. He would have kicked all the women out because they were a drag on the kingdom, and they caused his father to sin. And I would have, if it was me, I would have kicked the women out. I would have surrounded myself with my father's advisors because they soaked up all that wisdom that Solomon had. And even though Rehoboam didn't have the same level of wisdom, there were people around him who did. And that would have been a great thing for him to carry on in the wisdom of his father through all the advisors and all the people that surrounded his father. I would have kept the same cupbearers, the same everybody. I wouldn't have changed a single person, because you need that wisdom, and then you need them to teach that wisdom to the next generation of the people who are going to take their place in that office. That's what I would have done, and that's what he should have done. Now, let me get into what his father did, all right? Into the thing that his father said, that the thing that his father did that was so harmful that Yahweh said, I'm going to take the kingdom away from you, okay? So let's go to chapter 11. So I knew it was like 10 or 11. Chapter 11, let's start in verse 1. But King Solomon loved many outlandish women. So the other version, New King James Version or King James Version, does not say outlandish women. It just says women. But when you put the word outlandish in it, then you understand what kind of women these were. These were wild women. Wild women, Okay? So, King Solomon loved many wild women. How many wild women we got around here? How many wild women you see out here pretty much ain't got on no clothes, or their skin is just tinted by cloth when you walk in Walmart and everywhere else, you know? Those are wild women, outlandish women, and they want attention. And Solomon loved giving them attention, and he loved attention from them because they were so pretty and they were so out there and wild and whatever. But the thing was, they served other gods. Let's keep going. But King Solomon loved many outlandish women, both the daughter of Pharaoh and the women of Moab, Ammon, Edom, Zidon, and Heth. Of the nations whereof the Lord has said unto the children of Israel, go not ye in to them, nor let them come in ye to you. For surely they will turn your hearts after their gods. To them, I say, did Solomon join in love. And he had 700 wives that were princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart. For when Solomon was old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, so that his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon followed Ashtaroth, the god of the Zidonians, and Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. So Solomon wrought wickedness in the sight of the Lord, but continued not to follow the Lord as did David his father. See how I said in the last video, David was the standard. Okay, everything David did, Solomon was supposed to emulate and do the exact same stuff, right? Then did Solomon build a high place for Shemesh, the abomination of Moab, in the mountain that is over against Jerusalem, and unto Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And so did he for all his outlandish wives, which burnt incense and offered unto their gods. Therefore the Lord was angry with Solomon, because he had turned his heart from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. So Yahweh appeared to him twice, spoke directly to him twice, and yet he still turned away from him to do the very things that Yah said don't do. And because of that, Jeroboam, who was a servant, got to take over the kingdom. All right? Well, 10 tribes of the kingdom. So, when you have a young person that you give authority to, sometimes they do foolish things. Solomon did something very foolish when he was old. Did he come to his senses at the end? I think he did, and I think that's when he wrote Ecclesiastes, and he wrote Songs of Solomon. Maybe when he was a little younger, he wrote Songs of Solomon, but when he was older, he wrote Ecclesiastes. And at the end of it, you know, he says, "What is the sum of all this stuff? The sum of everything I've done, all this learning, all this wisdom, all this stuff." And he said the sum of it is to love God and to keep his commandments. Young people are full of foolishness. And when you put a young person like Rehoboam with his friends that he grew up with, and he listened to them, then you have stupidity growing amongst your people. And it'll spread like a cancer. It'll spread like a plague, you know. Everybody will be doing that thing. Just like King Solomon, one person worshiped those other gods and idols, but when it's the king, when it's the leader, everybody under you automatically does it too in Yahweh's sight, because you're led to do that thing. There's like a spirit that goes out from amongst that, and other people end up following what the leader's doing. Okay, just like in a church, you'll have a church, the whole church will have a spirit of promiscuity. Everybody will be sleeping with everybody, you know, all because the pastor's sleeping around. So if you have a church where everybody's sleeping with everybody, it's because the pastor's sleeping around. That spirit comes from him. You know, it's just one of those things. That's about it. You know, I just want to kind of talk about the foolishness of young people when you put young people in charge. And that is why today we have to reject all these young people from speaking to our our young people, our children. You know, everybody on TikTok, everybody wants to put a camera in the face of the worst type of people. But you don't see, and I mean, I'm going to talk about black people for a second. You don't see middle and high class black people on camera, ever. Ever. You don't see them, the people who are millionaires. You don't see the doctors and the lawyers. They don't talk about their life. They don't make videos. They don't encourage anyone. They just quietly live their own life. But because they never speak, they never encourage anyone, they never get on video, we never see about them. So you don't even know they exist. But you do get the loudmouth, ghetto, full of nothing people that are quick to get on camera because they want the attention. And because they love the attention and they'll put themselves on camera at all costs, you hear about them a lot more, you know. So we have to, those people who are successful, we have to show that being successful is a good thing, it's a cool thing. And we have to start giving out the wisdom that we learn. If the only wisdom I have to give out is from the word of Yah, I'll do that. I wish we could find other people to gather wisdom, you know, and bring wisdom together from different levels of people. That way young people could have something positive leading them. You know, people that are old men should be teaching young men. Old men who are in their 70s, 80s, 90s should be giving the young men the wisdom that help them to be who they are, or to help them to be righteous people. But no one wants to listen to old people, and that's a part of our society we're gonna have to change. And as I get older, I pray I continue to do videos and share wisdom. You know, my gray beard is coming in pretty good, you know. I can't wait till my hair starts turning all gray and everything is gray. Because I love that, you know. I looked up to those people when I was young, and I copied how the men in the barbershop used to dress. I used to wear a lot of the cartoon or the socks with the little gold toes and all the little designs and stuff on them, because I emulated people in the old barbershops, you know. And I think that's a good thing. We need to emulate older people, and we need to put older people out there so that they can be emulated. I want you guys to understand that where to look for wisdom in modern day, and it's going to be with the older people. Not all older people, because they got some foolish old people, but at the same time, we need to be able to know where to look for wisdom and where to copy it. Rehoboam didn't listen to his father, so he did what the young foolish people did, which brought nothing but disaster. I don't want us to follow in those ways. I want us to understand where wisdom comes from, and that it's good to have older people around you to give you wisdom. You know, those who are full of wisdom, full of the spirit of Yahweh, they need to stay around young people, not to be foolish, but to guide and lead them to a better life. You know, I wish I could surround myself with people like Master P in business, Waka Flocka in business, because as a business owner myself, it's it'll be very valuable. You know, we could walk without having to bump our heads and figure out the things they've already figured out. So that's all. You know, you don't want a young person that don't really know. You want an older person who's been around, who's seen it, who's done it. That's it. All right, see you on the next video.